Little late one for you here. Why not? It's 6:52 Eastern in the mid to late evening hours, depending on where you are right now. Thursday, September 11th, I'll have some thoughts on the 24-year anniversary of 9/11 coming up at the end of tonight's show. Glad you guys can be with me. Hope you and yours are hanging in there. It's been a brutal 24 hours plus from a news cycle standpoint in this country. So I hope that you're doing well, taking care of yourselves, and getting ready for some Thursday night football, which will be taking place, a little over an hour from right now? What is it? I honestly haven't even looked. It's 8:15 kickoff, so it'll be a little over an hour. It's in Green Bay, Packers, Commanders. So Prime Video, NFL Plus, I guess, has the stream, but it's the Amazon telecast. Al Michaels, Kirk Herbstreit, Kaylee Hartung. I have a crush on her, by the way, just to throw that out there. But anyway, Commanders, Packers, maybe we'll take you right up until kickoff. Let's see how tonight goes. I got a lot of content to get into, like a lot of content. And it's brought to you, this live stream is by the folks at Profit X, my newest brand sponsor and America's #1 sports prediction market. If you could on the way in, please like the video, subscribe if you haven't already done so, hit that notification bell. You guys know the drill. I'm glad you guys can be with me. And as always, if you haven't already done so, you can become a channel member, a Bobby Baltimorean, or you can give membership on this Thursday evening. Man, there's a lot of talking being done by really, I guess, technically both sides of the Ravens and the Browns, but there's two different approaches being taken by that said talking. Cleveland's got one approach, the Ravens have another. And to be quite honest with you, one is coming across as desperate and perhaps a pretender. The other is business-like and a contending way to approach this. And there's a lot of shit talking being done out there, particularly when it comes to the Browns trying to get up for this game, if you will. If you're asked Kyle Hamilton, if you feel like, in his words, right, if you feel like you need a little bit of extra bulletin board material, so to speak, then what are you doing it for? So anyway, we're going to get into all that and more, including some takeaways from Terrell Suggs' conversation with us inside the vault earlier this afternoon. He gave his thoughts on John Harbaugh's job security, how much blame should be divvied up towards him when it comes to some of their recent underperformance. There's a lot to get to. So let's do it. Thanks for being here tonight, guys. And let's begin with a montage that I've put together between Ravens and Browns sound bites so far within the last 24 hours ago. And I'll react to it on the other side.
Not hard.
Derek, did you get a chance to see Grant Delpit? Said that you're not hard to tackle, and do you have a reaction to that?
Yeah, I saw that. I saw his coach had a tweet, a quote, and he had a quote. We'll see on Sunday.
Jerry, Baltimore secondary, I know we're notable names back there. Just what are the challenges that presents to you guys as receiving?
No challenges.
Guys say whatever you're gonna say. I really don't care. That's the thing with bulletin board material that I never understood is was I not gonna play hard before he said that? So it's I'm gonna play the same way I was gonna play. If you need bulletin board material to go play how you need to play, then that's a problem on you. So. I guess he's trying to get himself right for the game, and, we're doing the same thing. So, we'll see on Sunday, but we're excited to go out there.
Get your popcorn, guys. That's the montage and a bunch of different clips there compiled, right? You've got Grant Delpit, who's talking a bunch of junk regarding Derrick Henry and sort of downplaying the significance of the challenge that it is to take 22 down. You've got Jerry Jeudy, talented wide receiver for Cleveland, not hesitating whatsoever in the no challenge when it comes to the Ravens secondary. Kyle Hamilton responding in business-like form, as always. You would expect that from the even keel demeanor, I should say, that Kyle Hamilton has always brought to the table as a Ravens safety. But yeah, I think the biggest quote that sticks out to me from what you just listened to comes from Kyle. If you need bulletin board material to go play how you need to play, then that's a you problem. Two different media approaches being taken so far leading up to this game. A lot of chatter from the Cleveland media side of things when it comes to radio personalities bitching and moaning and complaining about the Ravens' decision, right, to host their 30th anniversary since franchise's inception and the celebrations that are in order and in place for Sunday in Baltimore. You got back and forth going on between the players. We know that the Ravens dropped a game last year against these Cleveland Browns, the first time around in regular season play, in which Kyle Hamilton dropped a would-be interception from Jameis Winston that would have sealed the game. The Ravens beat themselves in that game. And we know that that type of game had major implications, as did the 0-2 start, as did 10 weeks of a lackluster pass defense in seeding, in home field advantage, and everything that took place in what became an early exit, a lot earlier than I think a lot of us would have anticipated in the postseason for the Ravens. Not one and done, beat Pittsburgh handily, dropped a heartbreaker in Buffalo in that divisional round. So, again, to me, this kind of comes across as a contender versus a pretender, if you will. Cleveland kind of feeling like they need to do a little bit extra, muster up a little bit of something, a little bit of drama in the media, whereas the Ravens are going even keel, business-like, not taking the bait, if you will, whatsoever. I think we can all appreciate that type of mentality. There's no, really, to be quite honest with you, they don't have a whole lot of ground to stand on if they were to kind of go back at the Browns. And not only would they be stooping low to that level of, I don't know, just to me, it's like they shouldn't be doing any talking right now. They should be 1-0. They're not. It was an epic collapse. It was a failure from a defensive perspective and special teams as well. And they know that. It's been a noisy week. It's been a noisy week aimed at John Harbaugh. We'll have some thoughts from Terrell Suggs on that exact topic in just a bit here. And the reality is they've earned a reputation where guys like Jerry Jeudy, who've really only put together, one significant game against the Ravens throughout his body of work, even though he's coming off a stellar season, over 1,200 receiving yards, Pro Bowl caliber season for the Browns last year. He's acting as if he's Jamar Chase, that type of confidence going up against this Ravens secondary and not hesitating or stuttering at all during his media session this week. That's not the Ravens standard of excellence when it comes to this defense and the reputation that it's trying to uphold, and that nasty taste that's left in a lot of your mouths, coming off of last year, coming off of Sunday night. So you want to get back to a standard of respect from a reputation standpoint around the league, from a statistical standpoint, from a closing games standpoint, and being feared, as Marlon Humphrey shared all season long. If you haven't taken a look and a listen or a watch at Marlon Humphrey's comments yesterday, here they are, courtesy of Fox 45.
Everyone wants to make a play. I think that's the biggest thing. I want to make a play. I want to make a play. I want to make a play. You have to look at it and I just go off how I look at it. I'm more of a negative than a positive guy. I'm thinking, I don't want to lose this game, so I'm going to do my job so it's not my fault. And I think that's the biggest thing. You do your job, and if a play comes to you, it comes to you. You don't go out, I'm trying to make a play and then do my job. And I think that's the biggest thing. We all got to – it's so crazy how I get beat, but the pass rush helped me out, so it's a bad throw by Josh. And then when it doesn't work like that, the pass rush doesn't help, the coverage doesn't help. The coverage doesn't help, the pass rush doesn't help. It's just so key to how it all works together. And I think that's the biggest thing is do your job, and if a play comes to you to make it. And I think working on that maturity, it comes in practice. We do a lot of scenarios. It's crazy how we did the exact scenarios that we lost on multiple times all throughout camp. We were in the perfect calls for a lot of the things that happened. We did not execute the calls properly. And that's why the loss hurt so bad. It was because we knew exactly what they were going to do in a couple different situations, and all 11 guys couldn't get together. And so that maturity, we're still working on it, and we're looking to build on that maturity Sunday. I think what Zio said, honestly, I loved Harbs and Zio, similar messages but different in a way. Zio made it very clear, we're not going to be repeat offenders. It's not going to be a situation where somebody's been doing something wrong and nothing gets said, or we think this, that, and the third. if you're doing things right, you're going to play, and if you're not doing things right, you're not going to play. I'm hoping I'm one of the guys that's going to do things right, and I hope whoever else is with that. But we're not going to get into a situation similar to last year where we kind of mask over this and try to do this and protect this guy, protect that guy. The guys that do it right are going to play. The guys that aren't, and it's really just that simple. I think we're just too talented of a team to continue to have those collapses kind of that we have. And I'm not saying this last game. I felt it was more of a true group defensively effort, but the guys that are doing it right are going to play, and that was kind of the message. And I think everybody can respect that going forward.
Comments that I'm sure reverberated through the walls of one winning drive within the last 24 hours or so. Zach Orr shared a lot of those sentiments, echoed many of those comments, even took accountability towards the end of the first half from a schematic standpoint and strategizing standpoint in terms of what fell flat going into the half, allowing the Bills to put up points in the form of a field goal. He put the blame on himself, took accountability, and again, shared a lot of Marlon Humphrey's sentiments that you just heard there, questioning the team's maturity levels. Now, Kyle Hamilton's going to have a response and a different twist on that statement from Marlon in just a second. But again, AJ here, as you see on the screen, transcribed part of what you just heard there from Marlon. Quote, "It's so crazy how I'll get beat, but the pass rush has helped me out, so it's a bad throw by Josh. Then when it doesn't work like that and the pass rush doesn't help, the coverage doesn't help. And when the coverage doesn't help, the pass rush doesn't help. It's just so key on how it all works together. And I think that's the biggest thing, is to do your job." We know that John Harbaugh and others since Sunday went final questioned and critiqued, I should say, called out the pass rush lanes, right? That was an area of improvement, needed improvement. And here's more from Marlon as well. This was from earlier today that Sarah and I had for you. Quote, "It goes to what Harbs addressed in the team meeting. He said, we're just not mature enough as a team yet. It's very clear we've got great players on both sides of the ball, but defensively, we have to work on our maturity. It doesn't matter what our offense is doing. We have to go out there and win the game. And right now, our maturity level, sadly, when we get in those situations, it's not good enough." Kyle Hamilton was asked about those comments.
The word immature yesterday to describe the way that you guys handled the situation on Sunday. Do you think that's a fair critique?
No, I don't think so. I mean, he has his own perspective, but I think it was a little bit of more so lackadaisical than immature. I think it was just the little stuff, like the way we're taking the field. We might have wanted the offense to drain the clock out with 8 minutes left, but not how the game flowed. We still got an opportunity to go out there and give them the ball back. Like, I've said it this whole week, like, they should not score 40 points and be trying to fight for the game at the end of the game. Like, in the National Football League, your offense puts up 40 points, you should be winning the game handily. So props to them. They did a great job, and I think we did for the majority of the game. It's just we just got to close it out, and that's where I think we were a little lackadaisical in that.
Whether it's lackadaisical or immature, honestly, I don't – he may have come out and said, right, that he doesn't think Marlon Humphrey's comments were fair. That's the way the question was posed to him. Did you feel like Marlon Humphrey's maturity level comments were fair? And Kyle said, no, I don't think so. They're both entitled to their opinions. Is there that big of a difference between maturity level and a lackadaisical performance on Sunday night? First of all, these two have a tremendous relationship with one another. Do I think there's a rift in the locker room? Not in the slightest. Do I think there were hard conversations had internally between Sunday night and today, or within 48 hours or whatever after that game in those film rooms at that defensive dinner that was apparently pre-planned that ultimately went in a different direction after that result came down file that Kyle Van Noy talked about? Yeah, I'm sure there were hard conversations. Yeah, damn right there were, and there better have been, to be quite honest with you, because it's just unacceptable the way that they lost that game on Sunday night. And a page has to be turned. I don't mean to continue to, live this, I don't know, just continue to look back at Sunday night and over talk about it. But I think when you look at, the underperformance and how far back you can take this in terms of some of the, Achilles heel setbacks that they've had to deal with, particularly when it comes to blown leads, this conversation has to be had. So again, a disagreement here in terms of the verbiage or the way that this underperformance has transpired with the Ravens between Marlon Humphrey and Kyle Hamilton. But I think what's clear is what Zach Orr made abundantly clear, that they're not going to accept repeat offenders. Marlon, we're not going to get into a similar situation last year where we kind of mask over this and try to do this and protect this guy, protect that guy. The guys that do it right are going to play, and the guys that aren't. And it's really just that simple. That from Marlon Humphrey. This from Terrell Suggs, because I know you guys are going to have a few thoughts on this, and I know a lot of you are pointing the finger at John Harbaugh. And hey, everybody's entitled to their opinion, obviously. I think Terrell Suggs' opinion certainly has a lot of stock to it, has a lot of credence to it, given that he won a Super Bowl with John Harbaugh and company, knows John Harbaugh extremely well. Here he is on the vault earlier today. Listen to this. It's been a loud week for your former coach. It's been a loud couple of years with some of the underperformance in the postseason, and sometimes he's the easy, on the opposite end of like where the finger ends up being pointed to within the fan base of trying to essentially divvy up blame and make sense of this underperformance, right? It's been un-Raven-like, if you will, from the standard of excellence that they've over 30 years now, which of course is the anniversary this weekend, as we know. Mm-hmm. How do you balance, whether it be as a former player, as a fan of your former organization, or just simply from the business side of things? How do you balance the fact that it's year 8 for Lamar Jackson, expectations are sky high, and yet they've underperformed in the postseason? How much of that blame should be pointed at the coach?
I think very little. I think we had a firm understanding as players is that when you cross them white lines, nobody can save you. Only you can save you. Like, we got the plan. It's our job to go out there and execute the plan. I hate that, every time something goes wrong, which is, he's the head coach. This is why he's in that job. He's going to take the blame the team lost. But from a player's perspective, when we see what's going on, John Harbaugh is not out there running and throwing any balls. He's not tackling anybody. He's not covering anybody. You know what I'm saying? This is our plan. You got to go out there and execute. And as we clearly see, the plan was working. We had the lead. It was working. But like I said, one misfortune after another. It has nothing to do with the coaching. You know what I'm saying? If it's 3rd and 9, 3rd and 8, you don't, run a 7-yard route. You know what I'm saying? Like, go get the first down. Go get the first down. I know on paper it says, you're running at 7, but we need a first down. At some point, the players has got to be accountable. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, we all itching to win. Like, we all been right there. We all been right there for years. You all been right there for years. You know what I'm saying? And you just can't get over hump. And I don't think that's, the coach. It's like we haven't played the same team every year. It hasn't been the same team knocking us out of the playoffs every year. You know what I'm saying? It's been a different team, different case of a different set of circumstances. And you know what I'm saying? And it's hard to replace a winning coach. You know what I'm saying? Like, Harbs is a winner. You know what I'm saying? I think he's a winner. And I think it's unfair. It's like, we all want to win the Super Bowl. We all want to win a Super Bowl. But you take a gamble and you try to bring in another coach, you thinking you're going to match the success. I don't think that, not in this case. Not in this case.
Terrell Suggs, a snippet from earlier this afternoon's conversation that we had with the Raven great and potential future Hall of Famer. He is a candidate, by the way, or he was a finalist. What was it, in 24 or 25? I think it was last year. And then the first time he was eligible, do I have that right? That he and Marshall Yonder were passed on, so they weren't first ballot. But hopefully one day, both of those guys will take their rightful place in Canton at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I'll give you my thoughts on what you just heard there In the meantime, after we finish this up, feel free to go check out that conversation in full. It's in the Best of Clips playlist on the Vault, and a great conversation with Terrell Suggs, aka T Sizzle. But first, before I share a few thoughts on that, this episode is brought to you by my newest friends at ProfitX. It's the newest partnership with the Bobby Baltimore channel, and you guys know how it goes. Let's be clear. We love creating content. We love giving it to you on a daily basis, both inside the vault and here. We wouldn't be able to do it without you guys and without our brand partnerships. And ProfitX is my go-to for season-long plays and player props. And they are America's #1 sports prediction market, where you win real money predicting sports in 40-plus states. There's an update for you in terms of the map where they are available. You guys know that I am in Florida for the foreseeable future, so ProfitX can absolutely be downloaded here. I'll tell you how to do that in just a bit via the ProfitX app. But as you can see, a bunch of different states, including Maryland, Delaware, Virginia, PA. I know a lot of you are based somewhere around that area, so maybe some of you are elsewhere as well in the Northeast, Midwest, wherever you see a bunch of different options. ProfitX is available to you and becoming more and more available as we go throughout the country. You'll get better odds than traditional sports books because you're playing against others, not the house. And with ProfitX, you can request your own odds, play with confidence, and get super fast payouts straight to your bank, card, or even crypto. And right now, if you sign up at profitx.co, you use code BobbyB, that's promo code BOBBYB, you'll get up to $200 in profit cash on all your plays for the first 30 days. So consider signing up now at profitx.co. You can start winning real money predicting sports. Terms and conditions do apply. And if you click on the link that's included in the show notes, it'll bring you directly to profitx.co. Let's take a look at what they have available tonight. Thursday Night Football in Green Bay at Lambeau, where the Ravens will travel to, by the way, in December. But we'll stick with NFL. It's Commanders and Packers tonight. I don't know. Something tells me that Deebo Samuel might find his way into the end zone tonight. But first of all, Green Bay, 3-point home favorites against the Commanders. Over-under set at 48. And again, let's go to touchdown scorer, see what they have. Jaden Daniels to score a touchdown, plus 172. What else they have going on here? Josh Jacobs to score a touchdown. I don't know. Something tells me, where's Deebo's? Where's he at? Plus 205. Deebo Samuel Sr. to score a touchdown. Might be something I'd be looking at tonight once we finish up the live stream. Terry McLaurin, plus 194 to score a touchdown. So anyway, you can see. You want to get in here, take a look at some player props, right? There are a million to choose from. ProfitX.co. Continued thanks to them for the support and for letting this channel go. But my thoughts, as promised, on Terrell Suggs' comments related to some of the underperformance and how blame should be divvied up when it comes to John Harbaugh. And Sizz said, quote, "I think very little. I think we had a firm understanding as players that when you cross them white lines, nobody can save you. It's hard to replace a winning coach. Harbs is a winner." That from the Super Bowl champ himself. That from T Sizzle. Look, I think two things can be true. If the Ravens fall short this year, I absolutely think that it might be time for Steve Bisciotti and company to look at a potential change in guard and a new voice. Lamar is not getting any younger. He is 28, soon to be 29 in January, if memory serves. This is his 8th NFL season, and it hasn't been good enough in postseason play, as we know, for years running now. Now, I also really respect and agree, and I've often said what Sizzle is sharing here. When you cross them white lines, there's only so much that preparation can do. It's about execution once you cross those lines. And players in Baltimore in the month of January have not executed consistently enough. And you take that game plan aside from abandoning the run in the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs, To me, it has been more about the shortage, right? The underperformance when it comes to execution by the players, more so than it has the voice in the room as the CEO or the head coach in this case when it comes to John Harbaugh. Yes, he's been there a long time, since 2008. He is the second longest tenured head coach around the league. But to me, this is about the players. With that said, I want to be clear. I am more than open to a change at the end of this year should they not get to where they want to go. But as T says here, it's hard to replace a winning coach. And John Harbaugh is a winner. Lamar Jackson is a winner. But much like some of the greats, right? Some of the great duos in head coach and quarterback's history, sometimes a change is needed, particularly given a player that is in his prime. The stakes have been raised. The magnitude and where things are at right now when it comes to Ravens football, you cannot risk not going all out and maximizing the potential of the moment. Because if Lamar Jackson ends up finishing his career short of a Super Bowl appearance and a title on top of that, it will have been a waste. And he will be up there with the reputation of the Dan Marinos of the world, right? With all kinds of I'm just pulling up Dan Marino's resume. He was an MVP in '84. He was an Offensive Player of the Year that year. He was Comeback Player of the Year in '94, a 3-time first-team All-Pro, 3-time second-team All-Pro, 9-time Pro Bowler, led the league in passing yards 5 different years. He was a 3-time touchdowns leader, 3 different seasons, led the league in passer rating in '84. The guy's resume, he's a Dolphins Ring of Honor member. You can go on and on and on. And you know what I mean? His resume is a laundry list of accomplishments. Lamar's is as well through not even 8 NFL seasons. You want the one that he's chasing to be on that resume when it's all said and done. He's going to be sitting at a table. Doesn't have a lot of chairs at it should he win that Super Bowl, given what he's done, given how revolutionary of a player he has been, how transcendent of a player that he has been. And if that message is even anywhere close to being stale in that locker room from a John Harbaugh perspective, it's going to have to be looked at by Steve Bisciotti and company should they fall short yet again this upcoming season. Let's see. What do I want to talk about now for you? I enjoyed this more from the Sizzle interview earlier today on the Vault as it pertains to Kyle Hamilton. And of course, Kyle is the newly highest paid safety across the National Football League, a unicorn. But I put my foot in my mouth a little bit when asking T Sizzle a unicorn related question as it pertains to Kyle earlier today. Listen to this. We played with a unicorn like 14 on the back end.
I did play with a unicorn.
Yeah.
All right, touche.
You set yourself up for that, Bobby.
I played with the greatest safety ever. Like the man was we called him Superman Reed. You know what I'm saying? He can cover the back end by himself. You know what I'm saying? So, but I love Kyle Hamilton's game. I love him a lot. I like him as a football player. My daughter said he was really fine and cute, so I have a little beef with him over there. So, because my daughter is like crushing on him, so that's why I might have to have a talk with Mr. Hamilton. But
he's engaged now, right? Like you're married? Yeah.
Even better. Yes.
I was gonna say, he basically had like an all-time off season. He got the engagement in like Greece or somewhere in Italy or somewhere in Europe. He got the contract extension. He's the highest paid safety. The dude's a unicorn, and he's something. I guess what I was trying to do there was not compare the two by any stretch of the imagination, but also just point out how
He's a
How
great
versatile. Yeah.
great player. He's a Raven through and through, and he definitely would have fit in with us. Like, so when you got a player that could play in different eras like that, that's special. So he's definitely a great player, and we'd have loved to have him. You know what I'm saying?
All right. I stuck my foot in my mouth in that one, and touche to T Sizzle there. Touche. He got me good on that one. But both are unicorns, by the way. Ed's the greatest of all time. Who knows? When it's all said and done, we'll see. Kyle Hamilton's on an unbelievable track himself, but lots to unpack in that one. First of all, I do have to take a lap. I have not yet taken a lap around the neighborhood, but I will text Terrell and Terrell's people to let him know after this show's over that I'm going to take a lap around St. Petersburg, Florida, because he got me good on that one. 2, Kyle Hamilton apparently, Sizzle's daughter has a crush on him. And 3, and the best takeaway from that clip, if you ask me, quote, he definitely would have fit in with us. Meaning Kyle Hamilton's style of play, right? That old school thumper that he is as a safety. The alignment king himself, doesn't matter where you line him up, he's going to go get it. He definitely would have fit in with us. The ultimate compliment there coming from T Sizzle himself. So go check out that interview, guys, if you haven't already done so. It's available to you on the Vault in our best of playlist with an all-time Ravens great, T Sizzle. Jim Schwartz, defensive coordinator for Lamar Jackson. He's answering a question related to Lamar Jackson, but he is Cleveland's defensive coordinator. By the way, he went to Mount St. Joseph High School, for those of you that are in the Baltimore area. He is a Maryland native just outside of Baltimore. I want to say Hillthorpe is where Jim Schwartz grew up, but he's been the Browns defensive coordinator for several years, revered around the league. He is a dog, as is that defensive front led by Myles Garrett. But here is Jim Schwartz going up against one Lamar Jackson.
Lamar, where does Lamar's biggest improvements come as since he's come into the league?
Yeah, I mean, he's been at the top of his game for a few years now. I think everybody, does some things a little bit better as they get older and things like that. But I think most of the improvements he had came early in his career. And now he's just, playing consistently. I mean, doesn't turn the ball over very much. Uses his legs when he has to. He's been, and this was probably about 3 years ago or so, he got significantly better versus the blitz. That used to be something that people could do to take his legs away, make him throw quicker than he wanted to. He's a really good deep ball thrower. Saw that last week in Buffalo. That ball to Hopkins right there. We have a lot of respect for him. We know we're going to have to play our very best when he's out there. But, I don't think what we're seeing from him is a recent development. It's been a few years coming, and hats off to him for the improvements that he's made, particularly early in his career.
And Kevin Stefanski, very complimentary as well, Browns head coach.
You can't replicate Lamar Jackson in practice. He's a great player. He's physically gifted. Like we talked about before, he can beat you with his arm, with his legs. He can beat you from the pocket, outside the pocket. So we understand the challenge. Doesn't make it easy. You practice hard against, a look that you're trying to show what he can do, but it's impossible to replicate that. So we have a ton of respect for him, and we just have to make sure that we do all those things as a football team, as a defense to play well.
Look, I have no doubt that Cleveland's defense is going to hold up its end of the bargain. But at the same time, given the firepower that Baltimore has, I still think in their sleep they're going to be able to put up 30 points. And you want to know who I don't think is going to be able to put up points like that? Cleveland's not going to be able to keep up with that, offensively speaking. Joe Flacco, love the guy, all due respect, freaking winner, Super Bowl MVP, 40 years old, still a starter in this league, right? Beat out the rookies in Cleveland this summer, and Kenny Pickett as well. I think he had a hamstring issue or some soft tissue thing. But they're not going to be able to hang in the points category. By the way, the guest lines are opening up in just a second here. All right, I got a few more pieces of content to get through, and then I'll open up the guest lines if you want to share a thought on all the noise surrounding this matchup in week 2. We thought there was going to be a vicious news cycle leading into Bills-Ravens. Dare I say there's even more of a vicious cycle leading into Ravens-Browns. So, God, I feel like I can't even breathe or take a second to step away from the freaking computer all day long because of this news cycle. But I don't think Cleveland's offensive attack, right? You take Jerry Jeudy out of the game and you stymie this rushing attack for the Browns, and you get after the immobile Joe Flacco at 40 years old. I just don't think they're going to be able to put up 30 points. I think the Ravens will be able to do that in their sleep. But at the same time, this is a Browns defense that is rough and rugged, and they will play them tough. They will play them tough. But you know who's going to play them tough as well? Derrick Henry. Go look at the tape last year and see what he did, and remind yourself what he did to their athletic, gifted linebacker, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Okay? He just flattened JOK. Straight up. I'm old enough to remember that matchup last year, which is very surprising to me that a safety like Grant Delpit is talking like that. Why make bulletin board material? Why put that on the Ravens' radar? I'll never understand that. I guess it's how he gets himself up. I guess it's how he motivates himself. And hey, to each his own. Why do that, though? The Ravens are already pissed off enough coming off this collapse from Sunday night. Why? Why do it? Here's an injury report. Jair Alexander was upgraded to full today after being limited Wednesday with that knee. Isaiah Likely, by the way, Zach Orr at his press conference downplayed the significance of what Jair put on tape Sunday night. Not great. Not great at all. But everybody's kind of, what's the right way to put it? I don't know. I guess downplaying it or voicing their lack of concern, given that he's still ramping up, trying to get regular season football legs under him. Isaiah Likely trending towards not playing for a second consecutive week, still dealing with that foot rehab. He's been seen on a side field conditioning and working out during practice by beat reporters. Jeff Zaribek shared that on the Collective Tuesday night this week. Nnamdi Madubuike, as John Harbaugh suggested, was back at practice after a DNP on Wednesday. He was limited Thursday with an ankle. 5 pressures and a sack for Nnamdi in that interior part of Baltimore's defensive front Sunday night. Pat Ricard, DNP all week long so far with a calf. Not great for Pat. And not great for the Ravens offense, especially against a Browns attack that you have to win the trenches. The Ravens did not win the trenches last year in that game they lost against Cleveland. Brian Spar noting that the Ravens averaged 30 points against Cleveland last year, which is exactly why it makes me feel comfortable, Brian, to say that I think they're going to get to that number easily in their sleep. But the fact that they don't have their bruiser fullback, somebody who does so much for the run game, so much for pass protection, so much for the trenches warfare game that's played, right? That battle in the trenches. Doesn't look like he's going to be good to go for the second consecutive week. Dealing with that soft tissue setback with his calf. I'm sure they're being careful with him because they understand his importance to this offense, his importance to what they want to do. But with no Ricard and Likely, and with Zaire Mitchell-Payton, by the way, that practice squad elevation tight end, the undrafted rookie that made the P squad, maybe he gets another go, another call up on Sunday. You know, Mark Andrews and Charlie Kohler are going to be out there blocking their asses off. And Mark was. He didn't show up in the stat sheet on Sunday, just 1 catch. But you better believe those guys are going to be willing blockers and getting after it. So this is your injury report leading into Friday. We'll learn more, of course, coming up at 4 p.m. Eastern on Friday about this very injury report going into the weekend. Around the league, I should say around NFL Network, here's who everybody's picking. If you're superstitious, just look away. All of NFL Network picking the Ravens pretty handily, too. 34-20, Daniel Jeremiah. Colleen Wolfe, 31-17. Adam Rank, 28-20. Grant, 28-17. Bucky Brooks, 30-18. Maurice Jones-Drew, 27-13. I mean, so on and so forth. Just look away. Look away if you're superstitious. I'd have to think my favorite Houston Texan, my guy Cody Stutes, friend of the program, a fellow cigar smoker in Indianapolis at the Combine come February. Looking forward to running that back with you, partner, in 2026. Says, good God almighty. It's Bobby Baltimore breaking it down. Go follow him for all the Texans coverage that you need in the YouTube space. You're the guy. Appreciate you, Cody. Shout out Jake Asman while I'm at it as well. Jets YouTuber extraordinaire who's going to be coming down to the Tampa area, by the way, for Bucks Jets coming up in a couple weeks. Game day threads. It's purple on white for the Ravens. A slew of activities and celebrations in honor of the 30th anniversary since the Ravens' inception. It all gets underway 1 o'clock on Sunday at the bank. And guys, a matchup that I'm going to be looking at very closely is Myles Garrett versus Ronnie Stanley. Terron Armstead, former Pro Bowl tackle during his days, recently retired. Now he's in the media space. Caught up with Trevor Sakema, and PFF had this to say about the matchup.
Ronnie Stanley's part of everything, because as we were doing a little bit of show prep before we hit record, I'm talking about how Ronnie Stanley has 154 pass blocking reps against Myles Garrett. He's only given up 1 sack, 14 pressures, just a 13% pass rush win percentage for Myles Garrett when he has gone up against Ronnie Stanley. For Myles Garrett's standards, and you talked about him being at the top of his game his whole career, he has been consistently above 20% when it comes to that pass rush win percentage. So for Ronnie Stanley to hold him to 13% when they've gone up against each other, that's a pretty good number. And when we were kind of talking about those notes there, you said, well, hold on, Ronnie Stanley's like that. You got to give him his respect. And that's obviously what we're trying to do here on this show, highlighting this matchup. So talk to me about Ronnie Stanley and how good he is as an offensive tackle.
Listen, Ronnie Stanley is one of them ones. He is. Ronnie has been exceptional, beyond exceptional his entire career. He's been an All-Pro. He's been the highest paid O-lineman ever. You know what I mean? And he's earned those accolades, and is not for no reason that he's been able to hold Myles Garrett less than his average win rate. And Ronnie Stanley is coming off a Week 1 performance where 0 pressures allowed, and 87 PFF grade, second highest tackle already to start the season. So
yeah,
locked in. He's ready to roll. They have a lot of history. They have a lot of experience against each other. So those guys know what they want to do and how they want to attack their opponent. Ronnie Stanley is one of them ones that can stand in there and go toe-to-toe with Myles Garrett.
One of them ones. You heard the man. That's a guy that's had his fair share of battles with big-time edge rushers. It's a 5-time Pro Bowler in Terron Armstead. Second-team All-Pro in 2018. Long-time New Orleans Saint. Spent his last few years with the Miami Dolphins. 6'5", 305. And knows a thing or two about Ronnie Stanley, too. Take a look at his Week 1 grade, according to PFF. Overall is 87. That's a pass blocking grade of 73.4. 0 pressures allowed against that Buffalo defensive front. How'd the right-hand side of that line do? Oof. I tell you what, though, the entire line itself graded out really well. I know there was some really dud-like plays by Fa'alele. Man, he's in the waiting room right now, so I got to say it. Fa-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. Somebody's going to take exception to that. Roger Rosengarten probably had a night at times to forget as well. But overall, the unit itself graded out pretty darn well. Matter of fact, I think they were a top 5 graded unit from Week 1. By the way, the guest lines are open. We'll open them up officially here in just a second. If you have a thought or two to share with me on this Thursday night, please do so by clicking on the link that I have as a pinned comment right now in the live chat. But Ronnie Stanley, man, this is the matchup I want to watch because you got 2 veterans, 2 beasts, right? A future Hall of Famer in Myles Garrett's case, first ballot. We'll see if Ronnie gets in there one day to Canton. But a solid Week 1 performance from number 79. And take a look at these numbers that Trevor shared about their all-time matchups. Ronnie has held his own against Myles. 154 pass blocking reps, just 1 sack allowed, 14 pressures. Myles has a 13% pass rush win rate when facing Ronnie over these times. And that's down considerably from his career average, which is typically north of 20% from, again, a pass rush win weight standpoint. So I just want to show some love, one, to Ronnie Stanley. Two, preview this matchup that's going to be a darn good one coming up on Sunday. And three, make sure we don't overlook Cleveland's defensive front, because there's a bunch of dogs led by 95. And that's what could make this game interesting. And that's what made it interesting in the game that the Ravens lost last year, the first of two. Am I remembering that correctly? Let me pull up their schedule. Pretty sure it was the first of two. Jameis Winston was under center. Of course, Kyle Hamilton dropped the would-be interception, the game's final moments. Yeah, so they faced Cleveland in week 8 last year. 29-24 was the final in favor of the Browns. And that was at Cleveland. And then they saw them again, the regular season finale, and thumped them 35-10. But if you go back to that game, you go back and watch that tape in week 8, the trenches were not won. The Ravens were outmanned, not outmanned. They got outperformed in the trenches. You go to the stats from that game, Cleveland won the time of possession. Cleveland didn't win the turnover battle. Ravens played a clean game from a ball security standpoint. Of course, they had 7 penalties, which negated 53 yards, which never helps. Ravens were 2 for 10 on third down that day. 2 for 10. Didn't move the ball all that well. 6.2 yards per play to Cleveland, 6.1. Cleveland outgained them in overall yardage, 401 to 387. It's just a game that you look back at and say the Ravens did not win in the trenches. And if you're not winning in the trenches, you allow a team like Cleveland that is inferior to you from an offensive attack standpoint, overall weapons, overall skill set, you allow them to hang around. And you allow a Joe Flacco to hang around, and it's going to get interesting, especially with the emotions that are going to be inevitably in play with the 30th anniversary, with all the legends back in the house, with Ozzie Newsome as a legend of the game, with Joe Flacco being in town. You cannot allow this team to hang around. Don't do it. Nick Marty writes, Bobby, I don't know why we don't do the throwback for this game. And just want to let you know, I haven't had soda in 3 years, 9 months. I do like Celsius as my cola replacement. Okay, Nick. I don't drink soda either, unless it's a rum and Coke. I haven't been drinking much lately down here. It's too freaking hot, to be honest with you. The Celsius, though, I'm going to have to, I feel like I'm addicted to Celsius, to be quite honest with you, which is a problem. That's a big problem. Thanks for the super chat, Nick. All right, guest lines are open on this Thursday evening. I do have some thoughts on 9/11 and the 24th anniversary, which is today, but I will save them until after the guest line. All right, so call in if you'd like to share a thought. Let's go down to Mexico City. The interim head coach himself, or somebody that's waiting in the wings in his mind, and others not so much. But it's good to see you, my friend. What are your thoughts on this news cycle, a vicious one this week?
Well, quick thoughts on the non-football related thing that happened yesterday. No one that goes out, regardless of political aisle, no one that goes out and debates people and, wants to have a conversation to see where the thoughts of the people are should deserve that fate, literally. It's sad. Prayers to his family, his loved ones. It's just a horrendous time right now, not just over there in the United States, all over the world. And I think we just need to calm down, sit down, have a conversation like Charlie Kirk said. Just sit down, have a conversation, let's talk things out. And if we cannot let's just find a common ground if we cannot fix it.
Well said, brother.
Yeah. Football related. If Myles Garrett cannot get a sack or just pass through Stanley, guess where he's going to line up?
I know exactly where he's going to line up. The opposite side.
Yeah, on 77. And you know what? What's going to happen? Falala's going to move, and it's like, oh, what happened? Myles Garrett just sacked Lamar Jackson. Harps, save me.
Listen, this is absolutely the matchup to watch. And they did not in week 8, as I just discussed. They got outperformed in the trenches. And if that starts to happen again, and you let a Cleveland team hang around, and you take the air and the oxygen out of M&T Bank on what's going to be a rocking atmosphere for a number of reasons, not only with the anniversary, but on top of that, it being the home opener and an AFC North divisional game, then it's going to get interesting. And it started to get interesting last year. You know, it starts in the trenches. The Ravens, they can't buy in. And I think they're doing a great job so far of not taking the bait, not buying into this psychological warfare bullshit tactic that the Cleveland Browns are taking.
Yeah.
They clearly know there's a talent gap, right? Which may go into their thinking of why they're doing this. And when I say they, some of them are. None on the coaching staff are. I guess special teams coordinator might have said something, but it's mostly Jerry Jeudy, it's Grant Delpit. They're trying to get in their heads. They're trying to get them to kind of play that game, and the Ravens are refusing. At least thus far, they're refusing. There's another day of media, and it'll come up tomorrow. But for right now, they're not leaning into it. I think it's smart and business-like of them.
Yeah, and I don't know if you have seen the interview that they had with Derrick Henry. He was very cut and clean with his answers. It's almost like he's pissed off. And if I recall
let's do this just because there's a lot of people have maybe missed the initial part of this, but here is the Browns and Ravens chatter, a montage that I put together at the beginning of the show, going back and forth. There's two different approaches being taken by two different teams. One's kind of coming across as a pretender, maybe even a little desperation. The other, anything but business-like. Listen to this.
Not hard.
Derek, did you get a chance to see Grant Delpit? You said that you're not hard to tackle on. Do you have a reaction to that?
Yeah, I mean, I saw that. I saw his coach had a tweet, a quote, and, he had a quote. We'll see on Sunday.
Jerry, Baltimore secondary, I know we're notable names back there. Just what are the challenges that group presents to you guys as receiving?
No challenges. I mean, guys say whatever you're going to say. I really don't care. That's the thing with, bulletin board material that I never understood is, was I not going to play hard before he said that? So it's like, I'm going to play the same way I was going to play. If you need bulletin board material to go play how you need to play, then that's a problem on you. So, I guess he's trying to get himself right for the game, and, we're doing the same thing. So, we'll see on Sunday, but yeah, we're excited to go out there.
See what I mean? Two different approaches. We'll see which one ends up prevailing on Sunday.
Yeah, and I think it was last year, but I can't recall which game it was that he was pissed off, and then the next game he just I think it was 200 yards. So yeah, when Henry's pissed off, it's like Lamar pissed off. He's going to just light it up, and I'm surprised that Lamar on Tuesday he contained himself, but yeah. You could see it that he was just ready to just say, no questions. I just want to get through my practice. I just want to get on Sunday. I want this bad taste of my mouth out of it now. So you got to wait.
Look, this is the last thing I'll say. We're going to go to extra butter here in a second, keep the guest lines moving here. And again, this I don't use this photo to make light of it whatsoever, but there is a photo, let me pull it in right now, that I think is the ultimate reminder of just how brutal Derrick Henry can be when he's going downhill and at you on a football field with momentum in his favor. And when you are on the wrong side of that, like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah was last year, this is the end result being carted off and your entire body being stabilized. Now, again, we're not making light of this photo whatsoever. That was a serious moment. And in a sense, it was almost as if he was paralyzed on the field because of what he sustained. And that is 250 plus pounds, 6'3", 6'4", whatever he is, coming at you at probably 16, 17, 18 miles per hour with a head full of steam. And so the fact that these guys are talking like this, I mean, hey, you do whatever you got to do to get yourself up. I've never crossed those white lines at the National Football League level. I'm never going to act like that, like I know what that's like and what it takes to endure this kind of hit right here. But this is what Derrick Henry is capable of. And you got to watch out whether you're at level 1, level 2, or level 3. So I'll leave you with that, brother. Appreciate you.
All right. See you.
Talk soon, man. Manny down in Mexico City, still trying to put his case to be made out there for Ravens interim coach. See if there ever is an interim coach. Right now, it is John Harbaugh's position and John Harbaugh's position to lose. Glad you guys can be with me tonight as we get ready for week 2 of this NFL season. Extra Butter is in the house. That's right. You put that light on. Make sure we can see you, brother. Good to see you. What's going on tonight?
What's going on, Bobby? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. What you got for me tonight?
I mean, I'm not too worried about the Browns, but I mean, we all know how that goes. I mean, they play us tough. We play them tough. I mean, as far as the comments that the players are making, I mean, it sound good. I mean, make sure you back it up during game day. Far as this past week, because I've definitely been trying to, get into your guest line as far as the loss that we just took. That shit was unrecognizable, Bobby. I'm not even gonna lie. Like the second half of the game was literally like watching the divisional game. Straight collapse. Like there's no way we put up a 40 burger and then give up 28 points and what 4-5 minutes of the last quarter. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. I think we're gonna bounce back. I mean, I'm definitely glad that Marlo came out in an interview and pretty much told everybody, like, yeah, it's been another meeting, and we're not repeating last year's mistakes with us being the very last pretty much defense.
There's been a lot so far at EB this week. I mean, if you think about what's transpired since this went final, okay? We learned of a defensive-only dinner, which apparently was pre-scheduled, but clearly tough conversations were had. Zach Orr via Marlin, and then confirmed by Zach himself today during his press conference, essentially gave an ultimatum, right? You're lining up the wrong way. You're not executing the game plan. You're not playmaking out there accordingly. You're going to be benched. Marlin referring to the team from a defensive standpoint as immature, essentially questioning or calling out maturity levels or lack thereof. Kyle Hamilton, as you see on the screen here, not taking issue with that, but just disagreeing, I should say, with Marlin and referring to it and the performance itself or the state of the defense as lackadaisical. Right?
I mean, not much difference.
There isn't. I don't think that. I totally agree with you. And earlier on in the show, I said, you know what? There's really is there a really big difference? Yes, there's a difference between the two terms and the way they're defined. But overall, it's the same sentiment for me, right? It's below the mark. It's below the standard. It's below the excellence of what they expect from themselves. And they ultimately understand the magnitude of this moment that they find themselves in right now in the Ravens era of football. Lamar is not getting any younger.
Nope.
The way that they are intact roster construction-wise isn't going to be here forever. And the longer they go here, it is tougher and tougher to sustain this kind of roster. You have to continue to draft well and draft with purpose And a little bit of luck and fortune along the way certainly doesn't hurt either. There are players that are not going to be here this time next year that are key pieces, and that's just reality of life in the NFL, which stresses even more, right? Stresses even more the importance of winning in April in the draft from a scouting standpoint and everything else in between, whether it comes to free agency, player development, you name it. And so by Marlon, the longest tenured defensive player, taking a stand the way that he did oftentimes last year, doing it after 1 week of football, to me, sounds the alarm bells. And everybody in that locker room, I think, hears that in a sense. A message has been sent 1 week in, 1 week of football in. It's a big deal.
Lighten up, or you will be on the bench.
Yep.
My last take, Bobby. I've been saying this since we got bounced out of the championship game that Harbaugh needs to hang it up. To be honest, now, me personally, I was never a fan of Harbaugh. I was really never a fan of Joe Flacco, to be honest with you. Never a fan. Even during the Super Bowl run, was not a fan. I take nothing from them as far as what they've done, but I was never a fan. And once we got bumped out of that championship game, only running the ball 6 times against during the time of 14th deep running defense Chiefs, that makes no sense to me. I feel like our coach should be Mike McDonald right now. But I mean, it is what it is, you know. But I feel like John is really in a hot seat right now because it's the fan base, and I'm pretty sure the fan base shared this with me. We are absolutely tired of watching John sitting on the sideline with your arms folded up, head in the clouds, eyes up in the clouds. You don't look involved. You don't look like you're involved. And the type of the involvement that it does look like that you're giving is only when refs are throwing flags. To be honest, I mean, that's just outside looking in.
You think Monk should get a chance?
Who you got in there with you?
Yeah.
What's going on, guys?
What's going on, bro?
How
I watch
you doing?
you all the time. I watch you and Sarah on the vote and everything. I'm always checked in.
Yeah, we're definitely big fans, man.
Appreciate that, man. What are you guys doing tonight?
I was just chilling. We talking football, you know. We was actually watching you, you know. So
yeah, he definitely wanted to
hell
get in. So
yeah, and then EB's like, "Come on, we're calling it in."
yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome, fellas. Well, good to catch up with you guys, and I'm sure we'll do it again, whether it's pre-game, post-game, whatever, over the next few days. Man, it is crazy. I got to take Saturday and just get myself away from all this because the news cycle has just been friggin' vicious, man. It's got me. I can't even get to the gym right now because I'm rolling this much.
Hey, gotta do what you gotta do, Bobby.
All right, fellas. Thanks again for the call.
Bobby.
One more question for you, Bobby. One more question for you.
Yep.
If we was to get rid of Harbaugh mid-season, I know a lot of people don't think that's a good idea, but do you think Monken would be able to handle the mantle?
Ooh, well, first of all, I'm not convinced that it would be Todd. All due respect to my man. I think it would be Chuck Pagano, to be quite honest with you. It would be between the two of them, I would think. But given Chuck's seniority, he's an assistant head coach,
okay.
Right? He's been there, done that in Indianapolis.
Right.
I would think it would go to him, but don't quote me on that. It obviously be between the two of them. Since Todd came to Baltimore, he's already gotten several interviews. He's been passed on, but he's gotten several interviews.
On top of extension this past offseason.
On top of the extension, the guy's done wonders for Lamar. This guy's you talk about a point guard. Lamar might be the point guard for this offense, but the dude who's the true point guard is the one that's divvying up these targets and shares, and that is Todd Monken, man.
Now, Chuck said on Pat McAfee's show that he didn't want to head coach again because he said it was much complete. I did watch that, so you know, that's just one thing to think about.
Well, you know, and then that reminds me, during one of his training camp press conferences, he said the exact same thing. He goes, my days of chasing those head coaching opportunities are over. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, now I don't think Steve would pull the plug in season unless the locker room was lost. And John Harbaugh over 17, 18 years now has not proven to lose a locker room. Now, I know there was a time when Ed Reed may have some things to say about that and what that was like back in the day. He's clearly adapted, right? And found a way to
sometimes I think him and Mike Tomlin kind of competing for that longest tenure head coach thing. Sometimes I really be thinking that.
I understand, but how many times us as fans, the organization is going to keep taking L's, clutch and key L's at that in big key moments from a coach, so-called coach.
That's a question for Steve Bisciotti.
Well, I mean, Bisciotti said it himself. It's time to win now. So you need to put your big boy pants on. You need to look at the film. You need to look at the numbers. And you need to make an executive decision, because how many times are you going to let Harbaugh take a bite from the apple and come up short? Like everybody is saying, Lamar is not getting any younger. There will never be another Lamar Jackson.
Which raises the stakes, man.
Right now, you only see in a video game, bro. Literally.
Which raises the stakes, no question. I think there's a lot of validity to what you're saying. And I also think there's a lot of merit to what Terrell Suggs told us today, fellas. Quote, I think very little, meaning in response to my question about how much blame should be aimed at Harbaugh. Quote, I think we had a firm understanding as players that when you cross them white lines, nobody can save you. It's hard to replace a winning coach. Harbs is a winner. At the same time, right? At the same time, there's been too much underperformance. I think we can all agree in January. And there's been a very disturbing trend that reared its ugly head yet again with a fourth quarter lead, a double-digit fourth quarter lead at that on Sunday. I am of the belief, fellas, I'd like to see Harbaugh and Lamar see this season through. And if yet again they fall short in January, I am open to a change at the top.
Yeah, me too.
I am open to a change at the top.
I ain't gonna lie to you, Bobby. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I'd rather not take that chance.
You don't want to wait. I know you
start all over
again.
again.
Like this, if we can't find our Steve Kerr, like if Harbaugh is like Mark Jackson, and we need a Steve Kerr, if we can't find that Steve Kerr, then we don't need to do it. That's all I'm gonna say.
I know you guys don't want to wait till then. I know that. I know you don't want to live what you've already lived.
I can wait, Bob.
I get it. You got scar tissue built up from the last couple of Januaries. I get it.
Woo!
I get it. But if you pull that plug, at the top,
and
in season,
not only,
I would love to see Harbaugh win another Super Bowl with Lamar. I'm not going to lie.
Not only the postseason, Bobby, but 17. You dropped 17 games in the fourth quarter, being up by 2 scores. That's crazy. I'm surprised that John still has his job right now. I understand loyalty and all that, but
this might be that year he'd be like, all right, I can't do this. Nope.
Hey, we'll stick a pin in it. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for the call. We'll do it again.
Definitely, Bobby.
Later, guys. Appreciate you. EB and company. I never got his buddy's name. I'll have to get that next time because he says he's a subscriber. Guys, before I jump, I promised that I would share some sentiments on what took place in this country 24 years ago today. And as a New York native, not New York City, upstate New York, as you guys know, this means something to me. I think this means something to every American. The White House tweeting out remembrance and a tribute to those who not only lost their lives, but those who stepped into duty 24 years ago today. We honor the lives lost, the heroes who emerged, and the resilience of the American spirit. I will play this courtesy of the NYPD News Twitter account, which I think captures everything good and obviously everything tragic that took place 20 plus years ago today in New York City. could not share that, guys, on this day. And again, so many were affected by that day, that dark day 24 years ago. 441 first responders, 343 firefighters, 23 NYPD officers, 37 Port Authority 37 Port Authority officers. That's not including those that were in those innocent civilians on the planes, in the World Trade Center, at the Pentagon. 184 were killed in Virginia, 40 in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. And I wanted to be clear on this September 11th, just as we did earlier today inside the vault. I'd be remiss if I did not acknowledge 24 years ago today. And speaking of acknowledging, Ground Zero photos from NYPD News on Twitter documenting what this day is like, this day of remembrance, this day of, in a sense, celebration of the lives lost, celebrating who those folks were, what they brought to society, what they meant to their families. I'll never forget having grown up about 2.5 hours outside of New York City. And when I say outside, it's upstate New York. It's really nowhere close. But since nobody had any idea what was happening that day, we were taken out of school. We were brought home, sent home in Albany, New York, as many were throughout New York and throughout the Northeast. And gosh, I was only in second or third grade. So again, it's a day that has meant so much to so many. And as D-Rod says it best in his live chat comment, he says, as a New Yorker, this was the saddest thing I've ever witnessed in my life. It is sad. It will always be sad. It will always be somber, and it will always be a dark day in American history. And it's been a dark week. It's been a dark 24 plus hours. And I think as I close out tonight's show, I want to send my love to you, to yours, to your extended family, to those around you. Let's take care of each other. Let's take care of ourselves. Let's take care of strangers when we can. Let's take care of those that need us. Because again, it's been a really heavy week, I think, in this country. So all the best to you guys. All the best to your families. All the best to loved ones. Sarah and I will catch up with you tomorrow inside the vault at 12 noon Eastern. If you could on the way out, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, hit that notification bell, consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership. And thank you guys for spending some time with me tonight. Enjoy Thursday Night Football in Green Bay. A little preview for what the Ravens will have to deal with Micah Parsons being a Packer now. That should start in a couple minutes from right now. So thanks, guys. I really appreciate this community. I would love for you to join the Bobby Baltimore Discord server if you haven't already done so, which is a 24/7 hub for conversations surrounding Baltimore sports. It is free to join. And again, there's a great community of football fans, baseball fans, basketball fans, you name it. We're coming up on 1,000 members. There's constant chatter in here. 932. Mick3.ppp. Mark Smith became a member yesterday. You get a shout out and a special update. And again, we talk a little bit of everything in here. So go check it out. 24/7 hub for conversations surrounding Baltimore sports, and it is free to join. Thanks for all of your sentiments. Holly Keefe noting that her dad was one of the ones who went to help clean up in the aftermath and attend the funerals of firefighters and first responders who passed. So Holly, again, it's folks like your father who just, man, selfless people. Selfless people. Thank you for sharing. And thanks to all of you guys for spending some time with me tonight. I'll be back with you tomorrow. Thank you.